Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la.
הנה מה טוב ומנעים שבר אחים גם יחד. 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 How good it is, how sweet it is, to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is, to be together on this day. הנה מה טוב ומנעים שבר אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים שבר אחים גם יחד. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום. How good it is, how sweet it is, to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is, to be together on this day. הנה מה טוב ומנעים שבר אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב
Well, good evening, everybody, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
As I look out on this beautiful congregation tonight, I see stalwart members of our congregation, people who are here regularly, some folks who have come back for the first time in quite a while. So welcome back. And also some folks who may be totally new to Friday night here at Temple Israel. Raise your hand if this is your first Friday night Shabbat service with us at Temple Israel. I love it. This is great. Welcome. We're so glad that you are here. Whether you're here in person or whether you're joining us via our live stream, this is a beautiful Shabbat community to be part of, especially tonight. I'm Rabbi Michael Friedman, so pleased to be joined by Rabbi Ilana Nemetov-Bressler, by Cantor Julia Cadrain, by our musicians Mike and Malin and Yusuf, and by Sean and Chris in the back, and our whole staff throughout the building, including Brian and Kate and Tim and Troy and Lester and everyone else who is here at Temple Israel this evening. In synagogues throughout the world, last Shabbat and tonight, we begin reading the story of Exodus. And at the beginning of Exodus, we, the Jewish people, are slaves, as we know. What's interesting to me is that even before our moment of redemption, when we're finally freed from slavery, we are given a gift, and that gift is Shabbat. Why are we given the gift of Shabbat before we're freed from slavery? Well, our rabbis say that Shabbat is like a taste of what true redemption should be. So tonight, I want to invite us to create within these walls and within whatever walls you may be joining us from out there via our live stream, the love, the joy, the togetherness, the ruach, the spirit that we want to one day spread through far outside these walls, throughout this world. Let's create in here tonight a bit of that taste of redemption that Shabbat promises. And we begin, as always, by bringing light into our lives and into our world. So we want to invite Amanda, who will become bat mitzvah tomorrow, and Aiden, who became bar mitzvah just a few weeks ago, for the honor of lighting our Shabbat candles here on our bima, page 120.
Thank you, Amanda and Aiden. We are entering this section of our service that we call Kabbalat Shabbat. That means welcoming Shabbat. I think our ancestors understood that it takes us a little time to shake off the week and to settle into that day of rest that Shabbat brings. You may have heard me say before that singing actually lowers our heart rates, calms us down, and helps us to refresh. So I want to invite you to make some sound with us. Whatever you think your voice sounds like, whether you love it or hate it, or you know Hebrew or you don't, simply make some sound together as we continue to welcome Shabbat. These are simple words: Hava, Nashira, Shir, Hallelujah. You can also make up your own words or sing Lai Lai Lai. It's all good. Hava, Hava, Nashira, Shir, Hallelujah, Shir, Hallelujah. Hava, Hava, Nashira, Shir, Hallelujah, Shir, Hallelujah. to these words on our screen now, beginning with the simplest word of all, lie, lie, lie.
I'll invite us to turn to page 138 and 139, and there we'll find the words of Lecha Dodi, a poem written 500 or more years ago by rabbis in the north of Israel. And our tradition is to sing verses 1 and 2 and 5, and then as we start the 9th verse, our tradition is to rise and face the entrance of the sanctuary. And when we do so, we say that we are metaphorically or imaginarily welcoming in the Shabbat beloved. What's the Shabbat beloved? I like to think these days that it is whatever it is that is missing for you, that you desperately want to bring into this room. So maybe it's friendship. Maybe it's focus. Maybe it's a bit of peace. Maybe you need some health and strength and support, whatever it is that you might be missing. We're going to sing a few verses, and then we're going to rise and face the entrance of the sanctuary, and we're going to bring all of these things that we need, these priceless aspects of our humanity into this space with the 9th verse. Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala v'nishavat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala v'nishavat nekabela.
ושמו אחד לשם ותפארת ולתחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה ולשבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ולשבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ונחה כי היא מקור הברכה מראש מקדם ניסוחה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה ולשבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ולשבת נקבלה התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בערך ומאורי. אורי, אורי, שדברי, כבוד אדוני, עלייך ניגן לך דודי, לקראת כלה ולשבת נקבלה לך דודי, לקראת כלה ולשבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ולשבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ולשבת
I'm going to invite our fourth graders up to help lead us in the Baruch Hu. And as you're coming up, I'll share a little bit of something some of you wrote. If you're comfortable, only if you're comfortable.
Come on up, fourth
Come
grade.
on up, you know this. Come on up.
You guys get to stand up here.
You're going to stand with us.
All the way to the top.
So in class on Tuesday, come on up. In class on Tuesday, Jackie and Maddie, come on. In class on Tuesday, our fourth graders wrote about different prayers. They thought about what the prayers meant to them and why they liked them. And here's what a few of them said about the Baruch Hu. The Baruch Hu shows an appreciation for God. It's fun to say, and it's fun to bow. Also, one of them said it has my Hebrew name in it, so I like saying it. Whether we're in fourth grade or we're 104, we all have certain prayers that speak to us and others that don't. Baruch Hu, though, is one of those prayers that we offer in community. A reminder that no matter how we feel about it, Jews need these moments of togetherness in prayer. So together, we pray the words on page 146.
Ya la 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 la, 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 lai, 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 lai. Thank you, fourth grade.
As our friends are sitting down, I invite the rest of us to take our seats. Part of our learners' exploration on Tuesday also involved the Shema. And one of our learners wrote that Shema is an opportunity to let God in. And it reminded me of a story. There's a story of a little girl who every day right before Shabbat, she would run into the woods and disappear for a little bit, and then come home and do Shabbat with her family. And one day her dad was a little confused, so went out after her into the woods to figure out what she was doing. He followed her into the woods. She stood there for a little bit. She mumbled something under her breath, and then she turned around and walked home. And he caught up with her, and he said, "My daughter, what in the world are you doing? You disappear every week before Shabbat." And she said, "I'm going to talk to God." And her dad said, "But you can talk to God anywhere. God hears you no matter where you are." And the little girl said, "I can talk to God. God can hear me anywhere, but I can't talk to God anywhere. I'm different when I'm in the woods." The Shema is a reminder that sometimes we need to be a little bit different. Sometimes we need to take ourselves somewhere different, maybe be a little quieter, and have a chance to listen inside. So we turn to page 152 for Shema.
Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha
Page
b'chol
154.
levacha ub'chol nafshecha ub'chol meyodecha. Ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta b'ham v'shivtecha b'beitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shokbecha uv'kumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. I'd like to invite up our congregant Felix. Oh, you're already there. Thank you, Felix. We'll turn together to page 158 for our song of freedom and redemption, Michamocha. Not
On page 160, the first few lines we read, "Grant, O God, that tonight we might lie down in peace and that we might wake up tomorrow morning to life renewed." And we ask God to spread the shelter of God's peace over us. So I'm going to ask us to do something, especially our 4th and 5th graders in the room. We're going to build a shelter of peace over all the different circles of our world. So first we start with our families. And what do we do with our families? We hug our family. So first, a circle of peace like this. All of our learners. Oh, that's nice. Or spread it over your friend. Good. Okay. And the next we get a little bit wider to our friends and to our community. Yeah. Good. I love it. Okay. And then that circle, that shelter of peace, gets a little bit broader to all the Jewish communities, all the Jewish people around the world. And then what's the farthest we can spread that shelter of peace is to all of humanity. What's the farthest you can spread your shelter of peace? And thanks to all of you, one day, we will build a shelter of peace that encompasses everyone. The words are on our screen.
Sometimes I lay under the moon and thank God I'm breathing. Then I pray, don't take me soon, 'cause I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that they don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play one day, one day, one day. Oh, one day, one day, one day. Oh, one day, one day, one day. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Vehamidenu shamreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Vehamidenu shamreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Vehamidenu shamreinu. One day, one day, one day. Oh, one day, one day, one day. One day, one day, one day.
For the beginning of our Amidah, we'll invite our 5th graders up to join us to lead us in a vote v'imahot. So I'll invite you up, 5th graders. I know you practice it on Tuesday. You might want your prayer books. And if you're a 4th grader and you know it, you can come up too. Come on, I know you know it. As our friends are coming up quietly, I'll tell you the page in a moment. It's on page 166. As our friends are coming up, our friends learned on Tuesday that a vote v'imahot invokes our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. But they learned also that not only does it invoke those ancestors, it invokes all of our ancestors who came before. It's a reminder to us that we are connected across the generations. And there's a term that we use to talk about God as ruach, as spirit. And the idea is that spirit of God flows through all of us, all of them into us. And so as our 5th graders tonight, as you all recite and help chant the Amidah, I'm hoping, reminded how many generations came before you having done this, and now you're doing it too. So we're connecting all of ourselves through history. We're going to start on 164, and we're going to invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join with us in the Amidah.
Adonai, Sefatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid, Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise.
166.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chastei Avot Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagein, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magid Abraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah
168.
Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol, Atah Rav Le'hoshia, Mashiv HaRuach, Umorid HaGashem, Mechakel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Zomech Noflim Verofech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Ba'al Givurot, Umidom Elach, Melech Memit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lehachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol.
170.
Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Thank you so much.
The Amidah is an opportunity to talk to God out loud, and then an opportunity to talk to God individually and quietly. We take an opportunity now to pray to God in whatever way we need, whether that's using the words in the book through page 180 or the words in our heart. I invite you to remain standing or be seated as you feel comfortable, and to pray using the words that you need.
shalom. Bimroma, ose shalom. Bimroma, hu yaseh shalom. Hu yaseh shalom. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. Oh, say shalom. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. In our Torah this week, we learn that when Moses brought good news to the people, news of freedom, they were not able to take in his message. They were what the Torah calls kotzer ruach, which literally means short in spirit. Their stress overwhelmed them so that their spirits were confined and they were not able to absorb new information. So may it be with us when we are in need of healing. Our illness, whether it's illness of the mind or the body or the spirit, can hold us in a narrow place and make it difficult for us to take in the world around us. So as we pray for healing tonight, God, we ask, where there is constriction, bring us openness. Where there is shortness of spirit, kotzer ruach, bring us expansiveness. Where there is narrowness, bring us hope. I'd like to invite us to share names now. If you came into this room thinking of someone who's in need of healing, we'll invite you to share. If you're joining on the live stream, we'll invite you to either type the name into the chat or simply say the name aloud wherever you are. So we'll go ahead and share names now. Go ahead. In addition to these names, we share names of our congregational family who are in need of healing. Gerald Bachman, Mary Wheeler-Braun, Frida Easton, Steve Elliott, Rochelle Everts, Sue Flaum, Louise Friedman, Maurice Friedman, Jackie Fuchs, Roy Fuchs, Lanny Gans, Lauren Hope Gottschalk, Jeff Helfand, Phyllis Kamansky, Lauren Levy, Sheldon Manspizer, Don Matthews, Richard Mort, Stephen Neuwirth, Alan Nevis, Robbie Rajano, Deborah Lynn Ross, Stephanie Schwartz, Marcia Silber, Stan Stern, Esther Stone, Nancy Vega, Joan Wetzler, Brian Wolf, Moshe Yaakov Ben Yocheved. For all these names that we've said aloud and the names that we hold in our hearts, we pray for healing on page 371.
Friends, we know about Moses, the great hero of our people. But do we know how Moses' story started out? And do we know why he's considered so great? Both in last week's Torah portion and in this Torah portion that we're reading in synagogues throughout the world, Amanda will read it right here on this bima tomorrow morning as she becomes bat mitzvah. Moses says something surprising. He says that he is of heavy lips and heavy tongue. When God first calls to Moses and says, "Go free the people of Israel," he says, "No, don't pick me. I have heavy lips and a heavy tongue." And then later on, after he goes to the people of Israel, as Cantor just said, and he says, "Hey, we're all going to be free," and nobody listens to him, in part because they were of short spirit, of constrained spirit, he's dejected. He feels bad, and he goes back to God, and he says, "See, I told you I have heavy lips and a heavy tongue. I can't do this." Well, what does it mean? Rabbis throughout history have asked, what does it mean that Moses had heavy lips and a heavy tongue? And how could it be that Moses, the greatest hero of all time, who led thousands of us out of slavery, was described this way, or would describe himself this way? Well, I want to tell you a story of three rabbis who had a great debate about what Moses meant when he said this. The first rabbi's name is Rashi, and he lived about 900 years ago in France. And Rashi knew that Moses was the youngest child in his family. Who here's the youngest in their family? Moses had an older brother and an older sister. Anybody here have an older brother and an older sister? Yeah, some of you know what I'm talking. No. Anybody here have an older brother and an older sister? Some of you guys do, yes. And so you might understand, maybe Rashi was also the youngest in his family. You might understand Rashi said, what Moses meant when he said this is, who am I to go to Pharaoh? I'm the youngest in my family. And my older brother Aaron is a prophet. That meant he was a very important person who could talk to God. And my older sister Miriam is also a prophet, which means a very important person who could talk to God. Who am I? I'm just the youngest of the family. Why would you possibly choose me, God? Now, this is a question not just for our learners, for people of all ages. Have you ever been in a situation where you're asked to do something difficult and you thought, no, somebody else deserves this more? Have you ever been in a situation where you're asked to do something important and you think, there are others in line ahead of me. There's someone else who's more worthy. Does that sound familiar? Does that feel familiar to any of us? Some might say that Moses' statement of Aaron and Miriam should go ahead of me was a statement of humility. Humility is a positive Jewish value. But too much humility, as Moses demonstrated, is actually an act of self-negation. It's like an erasing of yourself. I'm not really here, God. Don't pick me. Pick Aaron, pick Miriam. They should go first. That's what Rashi said. And he had a conversation with another rabbi named Sforno, who lived in Italy about 500 years ago. And Sforno said that Moses' statement of heavy lips and a heavy tongue really meant that he was not so skilled in diplomatic language. He didn't know how to go speak to a king, Pharaoh, and negotiate with someone who ruled an entire country of how to free the Jewish people. He didn't have the skill necessary. Moses was saying to God, I don't know how to do this, God. Please pick somebody else who has more experience, who has more skill, who has the knowledge of how to complete this important task. Maybe that seems familiar, sounds familiar, feels familiar to some of us. You ever been asked to do something really important and you're like, I have no idea how to do that. How could I possibly do that when I don't even know how? Feel familiar to anybody? And Rashi and Sforno were in conversation with yet another rabbi, a rabbi named Ramban who lived 700 years ago in Spain. And Ramban said, I get it. I know what Moses is saying. Heavy lips and a heavy tongue. Moses had a speech impediment. He's not really talking about abilities or disabilities, but rather Ramban is saying to all of us, who among us hasn't questioned our physical abilities at some point? Who among us hasn't wondered whether we have the size or the strength or the beauty or the body shape or whatever in order to do something good and important and meaningful in this world? Moses, Ramban said, made the mistake of thinking of his speech impediment as a handicap. Okay, Ramban said. He spoke differently. So what? He can still change the entire world. He can still change the entire course of history. Friends, how is it that three rabbis who lived in three separate countries, centuries apart, can be in conversation with one another, discussing the words of Torah that's in our ark? How is that possible? Well, that is part of the magic of Jewish tradition. And you don't have to be a rabbi hundreds of years ago in order to do that. Each of us is part of this same conversation about the Torah. Because the Torah is not about what happened so many years ago, it's about each of our lives today. Because as I said, who hasn't felt like we don't have the physical ability to accomplish something? Who of us hasn't felt like we don't have the knowledge to accomplish something? Who of us hasn't felt like it's not yet our turn? Somebody else go first, please. The Torah is not about what happened long ago. The Torah is about what happens to us every single day. Moses was great, not because he was chosen by God. Moses was great not because he changed the world. Moses was great not because he did something difficult. Moses was great because he overcame his own doubts about his knowledge and his ability and his turn. And each of us can too. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May it be so. Friends, it's a blessing that each time we get together, we can also remember those who have passed away, those whom we have loved and lost. As a Temple Israel community, we are observing Shiva, the first 7 days following the passing of loved ones, and Shloshim, the first 30 days following the passing of Gail Irene Soliver, mother of Edith and Lev Ratnov. B. Gold, grandmother of Keith Lender and Jill Jorshik, and great-grandmother of Maya, Jaden, and Dylan. Howard Simon, husband of Amy, father of Catherine and Matthew, Lisa and Jeff, Matthew, David and Andrea, and James Simon. If there are others here who are observing Shiva or Shloshim this evening, we invite you to add a name, to share that name aloud. Anyone observing Shiva or Shloshim tonight? And we're also observing the Yartzeit, the anniversary of the death of the following members of our Temple Israel family: Ernie Arno, Rita Bartimer, Bernard Beitel, Harry Bernstein, Elaine Goldfield Bregman, Eugene Cedarbaum, Ray Cohen, Lily Chuchka, Alfred Elliott, Arnold Gans, Gertrude Gaines, Rose Goldman, Ruby Gorin, Morton Green, Sidney Haber, Marilyn Lashen Weil, Herbert Raymond Mandel, Ever Kai Mann, Wallace Wally Meyer, Lester Moskowitz, David Newman, Sarah Perlis, Irving Perlman, Roberta Peters Fields, Saba Pinkwasser Schwartz, Bessie Podell, Frida Portnoy, Charles Edward Pozell, Randy Potak, Gloria Rabiner, Robert Rothenberg, Nettie Seiler, Louis Steinberg, Rosalind Teplitz, Morris Nunez Vaz, Harry Walkoff, Sylvia Wayne, Lois Wiener, Bernard Wolf Jr., Marie Wolf, and Joseph Zine. If there are others observing Yartzeit, the anniversary of a loss on this Shabbat, and you'd like to add a name, we invite you to do so at this time. We invite those who are in the period of Shiva or Shloshim or who are observing Yartzeit at this Shabbat to please rise. And we all rise as one congregation in sympathy and fellowship. Turning to page 598 for these hallowed words of Kaddish Yatom, Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divra cherutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chai echon uv'yom echon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'yizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shmei dekudasha barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mramav Ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony in the heavens above bring peace to us, to the entire people of Israel, and to all humanity. And we say together, Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mramav u'yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen.
Friends, what a pleasure it's been to be together this Shabbat. So many of us here in person and many of you on the live stream as well. All of you are welcome to stay for dinner. I know that some of our 4th and 5th graders are going to be staying a lot later than that. They're going to be staying, in fact, all the way till tomorrow morning, a sleepover here at the temple. It's going to be super cool and super fun. I wish I could join you. I can't, I know. Those days are long past. For me, at least. It is not Shabbat without a little juice or wine and a little challah. So, Amanda, we want to invite you forward to say Kiddush and Motzi. Amanda, come on forward. Okay, and Aiden, you're going to join her too? Okay, you guys can go up to grab the Kiddush cup and grab some challah. Kiddush is on page 124. Page 124. 123, sorry. Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam,
borei pri hagafen. Then we'll bless our challah, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
You can take the cover off the challah.
Baruch atah
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam,
hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oseh shalom b'mramav. Oseh shalom b'mramav. Uyaseh shalom. Uyaseh shalom.
Indeed, God, may you bring peace down upon us and our families and all those we love and upon the entire Jewish people and upon all humanity. Adonai oz le'amo yitain. Adonai yimvarech et amav v'shalom. Shabbat shalom.